guys, welcome back to the channel. As always, if this is your first time, welcome in general. Today, going to be working on the 83 Olds Cutlass. I think we're going to start trying to cut the floor pans out of it. If you've watched the other videos, then you know that project has kind of turned into a little bit of a, a little bit more than expected. It snowballed a little bit, but yeah, I've got rusty floor pans in it, rusty rocker panels, quarter panels, everything else. But main thing right now is we're going to work on the floor pans. So stick around. I'm probably just going to time lapse it. I don't know what I'm doing. As I've stated in my other videos, I've never done floor pans before, but I'm going to stick you up on there and time lapse it, and we'll see what we can get to happen. Still waiting on the rear floor pan because I only bought the front and then realized after tearing into it what I thought was solid is not, so we got to do the back on the driver's side also. So stick around, watch, and yeah, I'll stop it and talk when I feel there's something important to say. So here we go. Alright guys, it's a new day. I totally didn't realize when I was working on cutting that support piece out that apparently the battery in the camera was low, and you need to have one of those in there properly charged in order to continue filming, but that's alright, you didn't miss a whole hell of a lot. A whole lot of drilling spot welds out, which is not fun. It basically takes forever, and yeah. So no shocker that the battery died in the camera. But anyway, over the course of a couple days, I got that all drilled out. Kind of a pain. You got the side pieces that the seat bolts to, and then you got the main piece all the way across. But whatever, got it out. Recommendation: if you're doing this yourself and you don't have a spot weld drill bit or whatever, don't waste your time and money on the Harbor Freight one. Just there's one on Amazon. I'll get the camera flipped around here and I'll kind of show you what it is, and I'll try to remember to throw a link for it down in the comments, or not in the comments, in the description. But anyway, yeah, so that's all cut out, and then I kind of started drilling the spot welds on the floor and got a little bit ahead of myself and didn't really film that, but I've actually got the floorboard most of the way cut out now. But I'll get you flipped around, kind of show you what we're working with right now. Alright, so inside the car, obviously I got this brace just sitting here. I mutilated a few of the holes trying to, where the spot welds aren't actually, you know, round, they're oblong and yada yada. So I just took and boogered up some holes, kind of closed them up, we'll grind them down and all that good crap. There's also a couple spots on the floor over there that we're saving that went a little deep with it, so we got to kind of touch that stuff up. But whatever, we'll make that work. Obviously, floor is cut out. I've got the back pan that finally came in. This is actually like 3 weeks after I cut that thing out. So back pan finally came in. It does come with a piece that goes up and over and all that stuff, but this is all good and solid, just has a little bit of surface rust, so we're going to save that. And I actually just cut it out down along this edge here, and then right here is where it's spot welded around. Do have a section here, move this, there is a small spot right here where I'm going to actually take this and cut it out and put a new patch in here because this is a little bit soft. And another little spot right in here, but whatever, we'll touch that stuff up. I'm just trying to get the pan kind of laid in, and I'm not going to record all of this, but I'm going to basically keep taking the pan in and out. I kept the original seatbelt mount. We're going to try and line it up with the hole in this, lay everything down on here, and then maybe tack it in with a few self-tapping screws or something. I don't have those fancy Clecos. But then I can raise up the car and go underneath and scribe a line around on the new pan and be able to cut it and drop it in and yada yada. I don't want to overlap it. As far as I'm concerned, that's just a spot where moisture can get in. I did get seam sealer and all that stuff, but whatever. All the blue tape that you see, I just put that on there trying to keep relatively straight lines. Up at the firewall, it goes up to the original pinch weld up in there. I can't even get a shot of that, but it goes up to the original pinch weld up in there, and then I just cut it. The new piece, if you're wearing headphones, I'm sorry, this could get loud, but the new floor pan in the front actually utilizes that pinch weld there, and my old one was rusted up pretty far, so I'm going to try and reutilize that. I just got to figure out how far over I got to go and cut it, and then in order to get it to slip in, and then I can hopefully mark it from the back side where I need to cut it. I don't really want to go all the way up on the hump like that. If I do that, then I got to take all the mounts for the shifter and all that crap, pull those up, re-tack those down. I don't want to mess with that. So it's kind of where we're at with things. I'm thinking once I get the front piece in and kind of get the back piece in, I might end up welding the two together and drop it in as one, rather than trying to piece it together in two pieces and then make everything line up. I don't know. We'll see how that works. Like I said before, never done this before, and we're kind of learning as we go, and she ain't a show car, so never will be. But I'm going to kind of mess with this a little bit, and we'll bring you back around and see where we're at with things. So I also kind of forgot to mention, in the process of waiting for floor pans and all that crap to come in, ambition to be at a level where I want to actually work on something, something else popped up, the good old Facebook Marketplace. Excuse the mess here, I've got a hell of a lot going on. But in that whole process of waiting, crap, we got another one. This thing popped up on Marketplace. It is basically just a rolling shell. It's got nothing to it. Also didn't pay very much for it. It does have a title. It's an 83. It is pretty solid. It's got a little stuff coming in the lower quarters, both, you know, front and back, but I think patch panels on those will be pretty easy. Rockers are amazingly rust free. And sorry, the door's a little loud. And I got a bunch of crap in here right now, but these floors are spotless, not a lick of rust on them. That's the tire situation we were dealing with to get it on the trailer, hence the reason why the wheels are off of this one so we could get it rolled up on here. But it absolutely has basically nothing in it. Went and looked at it at night, noticed it didn't have a steering wheel, so I pulled the steering wheel off the Hurst. I get there and then realize, yeah, it doesn't even have a steering box, so bringing a steering wheel with me wasn't doing any good. Frame on this one is amazingly clean. Looks like somebody had sanded it down, shot a coat of primer on it, and just left it. Looks like somebody's already gone through, replaced control arm bushings and everything. Stacked a hell of a lot of shims in there for an alignment, but whatever. Not sure what the plan is going to be with this one, but for the price I got it for, couldn't pass it up. If nothing else, it is a parts car for the Hurst. It's got a good clean trunk lid on it, which the Hurst does not have. But yeah, it's got a little bit of this is pushed in just a bit, and there's a little bit of surface rust going on the bottom, but I'm hoping maybe we can take and get that pulled back out a little bit, and straighten that up. Doors aren't too bad, a little bit crunchy on the back sides, but not too bad. Fenders up here has had a little bit of filler work put in it, so this fender really should be replaced, but I don't know what car they cut these grills and shoved them in here, but these are not Cutlass grills, at least not two-door. Maybe they're four-door Cutlass grill, I don't know. It does have a hood up on top there, missing one of the hinges, so I couldn't put it on. Might try to get over to salvage yard later today, and I know there's a G-body or two in there that I might be able to get those parts off of. But yeah, not sure what the plan is with this, so stay tuned to the channel, and we'll see. Maybe we can make something happen out of this. Maybe this one gets the LS. Who knows? We'll see. Kind of go see where everything takes us. But yeah, figured I'd throw that little tidbit in there. In case you see it in the background, you aren't wondering what the heck's going on with that. But anyway, I'm going to get back to the floors over on this one. Alright, so it's another day. No progress was made. It's actually the following weekend. I ended up, it was like 60 degrees outside, so I did end up going to that salvage yard. I picked up a hood hinge and a couple other miscellaneous parts and pieces. So I was able to get the hood on this Cutlass. So that's kind of nice. That way, if I got to pull it outside for anything and wind picks up or something, it's not going to blow off the top of it. But did actually pick up a new front header panel for this car or the other. I don't know, one of them. Don't necessarily need one, but I have one now. So I mean, I paid like $40 for a new header, which is sitting down there, actually in really nice shape. Got a few other parts and pieces off of a Cutlass that was sitting in a salvage yard as well. Couple of miscellaneous braces and stuff like that, that between my three cars, I know at least one or two of them is missing these parts. So didn't make much progress with the Hurst, but I did get a little bit done. So we'll move around over there and kind of show you where we're sitting at with that, and maybe make a little bit of progress on it today, but I'm not real hopeful on that. It's me and the wife's anniversary today, so kind of got a limited time that I can screw around out in the garage here before I'm sure she wants to do something to celebrate. So kind of show you where we're at with things, what the plan is, and move on from there. So here we go. All right, so I've got the new pans laid in place. Just kind of used the hole here for the seatbelt bolt to just kind of locate it a little bit. Basically, the reason for doing that was since I ended up buying the front and the rear panel separate, I wasn't sure if that cut was the actual mating point where they would join up, so I kind of stuck them in here separate. The front piece is cocked a little bit, probably because it's pretty tight up there from how I have it cut. You can kind of maybe see there's a little bit of a gap in there. Nothing is really cinched together quite right, but I think what I'm going to end up doing here, I'm going to pull both of the panels out, and I think I'm going to go ahead and stitch these two pieces together, make them one, and then put the whole thing back in. I've got it just kind of self-tap screws in. Touch up a couple of pieces along the edge here, clean it up real good, spray some weld-through primer in, and then we can lay this down, screw it in, and then I'll raise the car up and then mark the back side of the panel where the cut mark is on the tunnel and back here. Pull it all back out, zip all that off, and start getting it fit into place. Then we can start welding this in. So that's kind of what I'm screw around with today, but you know, like I said, don't know that I'll have a whole heck of a lot of time. We'll see. Alright, so I got the floor pan over here on my little welding table, and I clamped it all together, and I welded it up. It's not the prettiest, but I've never welded sheet metal before, so trying to be careful not to blow holes through. I do still have a couple of pinholes in there. Spent way too much time cleaning up and grinding on it and making it smooth when I realized, oh yeah, that's all going to be underneath that cross brace. So yeah, that's good times, but whatever, good practice. I do think I am going to go through and probably weld on the bottom side too. That'll fill up any of my little pinholes that I've got in there, and also give me something that I can kind of grind down and hide that, because got to thinking about it, this is what's going to actually be visible under the car. So we'll try to make that look nice. Not that I'm trying to hide repair or anything, but you know, it's basically, it's practice for me for when I end up doing quarter panels and all that stuff. Might as well practice on something that doesn't really matter. But anyway, so this is going to be ready to throw back in the car. Like I said earlier, it's me and the wife's anniversary, so I should probably pause on this for a while, get myself cleaned up, maybe buy some flowers or something, look like I made the attempt here, and I'll get back at this maybe tomorrow and kind of stitch her up a little bit more, clean it up, throw it in the car, get it marked, and get it cut. Alright, so a little bit of a quick update. Came out this morning and laid the pan in place, and then went underneath and traced it with a silver Sharpie around all my cuts I had and everything. Pulled it back out, took the death wheel to it, zipped them off, so it's kind of sitting where it needs to go. I've just got a like self-tapping screw back in this corner, and then up under in the engine compartment there's a set of vice grips clamping the pieces together, just so I can kind of see how it's going to fit. It's got some gaps right now, but there's nothing supporting the bottom pan, so it's kind of sagging right now. Got a little bit of trimming I got to do where it's a little bit tight or whatever to get it to fit up where it needs to go. Curvature of the new pan isn't quite the same as the old, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull this all back out. We got to spray some weld through primer in here and all that crap, get it all prepped and ready to go. Punch a few holes in the pan to spot weld it, all that stuff. But I think what I'm going to do is between up top here and then up from underneath, we'll tack it in a bunch of places so it holds on its own, and then we'll kind of beat the areas into submission that need it and make it work. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at with it right now. I don't ever want to do this again. This is a complete pain in the butt, so hopefully when this is all said and done, it all works out and it's all good to go. Don't know if I mentioned it the other day, but on my salvage yard trip I did get a little bit better looking steering wheel. I got to get some sort of a horn cover for it, but this side of a Pontiac Fiero, so it at least, I don't know, I couldn't do that wood grain. It was just terrible. But I don't know, that was part of my $40 pick from the salvage yard, so it'll work. It's in decent shape, just needs cleaned up. But anyway, that's where we're at with the floors. Once I start getting it kind of tacked in, then maybe I'll do a time lapse of tacking it in or whatever. But for right now, it's a whole lot of taking the pan in and out, cutting and fitting and doing all that stuff. So it's kind of a pain, not a whole lot to see. So that's where we're at. So I think we're going to kind of wrap up this video. I know it's been a whole lot of just clips and me bouncing around or whatever, but it's hard to film and do anything. But where I'm at right now with it, and I'll throw in something once I got it all painted and everything else. But got the center main brace across, welded back down. All the seat brackets are welded back down. I've just hit them with some self-etching primer, and I'm going to shoot all of it black, kind of seal it up. The passenger side, I got those, all those seat brackets welded back on. Only thing I have left, and I'm not going to bother probably recording it, I have a little bitty patch, probably, I don't know, that big or so, they got put in on the floorboard over there. And then the bracket, it's just a stamped steel bracket, looks kind of like one of these seat brackets, goes on the bottom side of the floor pan for the drive shaft loop. It's just a flat bar or whatever. But I just gotta spot weld that back up on there, and then this will be done. I'll come back, give you guys a view of what it looks like complete, and then we can finally move on. And I'm thinking all the rest of the bodywork is going to wait, because I haven't decided yet exactly what I'm going to do with it, even though I have all the parts. But we're going to work on getting the engine and transmission, everything back in. It's late March right now, and the season to start driving the cars is basically upon us, so I want to get this thing back up and running so I can kind of give it a shakedown over the summer and go from there. But I'll come back, show you what this looks like painted and done, top and bottom, and then that'll be it. Alright guys, it has been what feels like to me an absolute eternity to finally get the floor pans and the Cutlass finished, but they are finally as done as I'm going to make them. Driver's side floor pan is completely replaced. The entire floor pan front and rear, both driver and passenger, from the just under the rear seat all the way up to where the floor pan meets the firewall, has all been painted, and I'm not going to take it any further than that. I don't really know that there's much else to do with it, but has taken absolutely forever, but finally gonna be able to move along with the project. So I'll get the camera turned around. I'll kind of show you from the underside what it ended up turning out looking like. Then we'll show you the finished product up top. The paint up top is a little bit tacky still, but it'll, I mean, you're not touching it, you won't know. But anyway, I'll kind of show you where you're at, and then we'll kind of wrap up this video and, like I said, move along with the project. So here we go. All right, don't mind the space heater underneath the car here. It's still chilly here in the Midwest, and trying to keep some warmth under the car here, and the dog is just wandering aimlessly. But anyway, so this is what the floor pan ended up turning out like underneath. You can obviously see where it was seamed and sealed, but sprayed it with a rubberized automotive paint. It's not actually the rubberized undercoating or anything, but I might hit it with undercoating afterwards. But I don't think, once the drive shaft is in and the exhaust is in and all that stuff, I don't think any of this is going to stand out. Like I said before, not trying to hide the fact that it was done, but we're also trying to not make it look super obvious. But I don't know. For my first time ever doing floor pans, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. So, I will say these floor pans, it says they're a direct fit and off of the original stampings. Yeah, they're not. Stuff doesn't line up quite right. The curvature of the floor is not exactly what the curvature was from the factory. So like when you go to put these brackets back on for this drive shaft bracket or whatever it is, you kind of gotta have this bracket and kind of mount it up in place, bolt it up to align it, and then kind of work the bend to the new floorboard. And it's fine. It's close enough. Nobody's ever gonna... It's not gonna make any difference. But just something to keep in mind. If you're doing this yourself, it's not exact. The curvature back in this corner right here is not the same as the factory. I did it. I just kind of beat it into submission and made it work. But there is a little bit of a step right here. A little more visible on the inside, but that's going to be under carpet, so who cares? I suppose one could take and put some cuts in that and kind of bend it out and let it splay and then fill the seams. I didn't go through all that. The curvature up at the front where it meets the firewall, that is totally not the same. It works, but it's not exact by any means. Where it meets with the factory floor here is not the same angle at all. You can get it tacked in and everything so it's secure, and then I just filled that gap up with seam seal both sides. Everything I did I seam sealed both sides. And you can't really get the camera up in there, but there's, I mean, up in there, there's seam sealer the whole way up in there to make sure it keeps moisture out. And then from the factory, looking at the passenger side here, they didn't use any seam sealer along this where the outside of the floor pan is tacked to the inside, like rockers and rails and everything, whatever those are called. But when I did this side over here, I went through and put seam sealer along all of that, just because honestly it felt like the right thing to do. But I'm gonna get this heater moved out of here, get the dog moved out of the way, lower the lift back down. I'll show you from the top side, and then we'll wrap this up. All right, so here's the finished product inside. Like I said, I coated the whole floor, both the driver and passenger side. Just gave it a nice layer of protection. It's not any sort of a finish paint coat or anything like that. You know, this isn't ever going to be seen. Eventually, I've got some sound deadening coming I'm going to put in there. I know if you watch a lot of the car shows on TV, you see guys, they buy some crap at Home Depot and roll it out there that's made for like roofing and stuff like that. I know they say it works. Don't use it. Your car is going to reek of that stuff because it has asphalt in it, and although personally I don't mind the smell of asphalt, but I don't want my car smelling like it. And it just, for the cost, it really doesn't do that good of a job. So use some actual legitimate automotive sound deadener if you're going to do your floors. From the factory, it didn't have any sound deadening in it. It just had the that jute padding or whatever in there. So you don't have to do it, but I will be sound deadening the whole floor in it. And I'm actually going to try something different. I'm going to try the Amazon branded sound deadening, and I don't know, we'll see how it works. But anyway, moving along, obviously this will never get seen by anybody, but you can see the seam and everything going around. It's, like I said, it's inside, nobody's ever going to see it. The paint that I used on it, obviously this can is really old, has not been stored properly. In fact, it sat outside on a trailer a whole summer and over winter one year. But it still works. However, between that and the cold temperatures, this floor was painted a couple days ago and it's still a little tacky. And I know it's hard to read, but it is the Rust-Oleum Farm and Implement, and this is the low gloss black. I like the finish of this. It's the same it's the same thing as the aerosol that I used under the hood, or on the frame in the front. Unfortunately, I can't find it in aerosol right now, but because I need more. But I do like the finish of it. This stuff is pretty awesome, actually. If you prep it well, and if you were in a low dust environment, this is not, but it is self-leveling. This was all put on with a brush and a roller, so it doesn't actually look too bad when it's all finished. Now, would I paint the outside of a car with it? No, but for something like this, or the frame, or something like that, where a mirror finish is not critical, stuff works awesome. Seems to be super durable. I've done a couple of trailers with it, so. But that's the driver's side floor pan. Like I said, this has all been seam sealed along where it was spot welded back in, all along the edge there, up along where it meets up with the firewall, and then, like I said, all the way around and everything. If you're going to do this job, do the whole floor pan. Don't screw around with patching in a piece. Just do the whole thing. I think, honestly, it would be a heck of a lot easier, and maybe not quicker, but less fighting with trying to get stuff to fit. Because if you're piecing it in, you're trying to get curves to match and everything, whereas if you do the whole thing, I think the new floor pans come all the way back into right back here. So you're basically just cutting, you know, a big square out, and then you just have to put that in instead of trying to match up all these curves. But to each his own. I chose this route because, well, first time I did it, didn't know any better. But if I did it again, I would do the whole floor pan and just order new braces for this brace that goes across here, the seat brackets, and all that stuff. I did actually order new bucket seat brackets when I ordered the floor pan, but I ended up reusing the old ones just because they're fine. But yeah, take you over on the passenger side here. I did end up, I know I had said before that passenger floor pan was fine, but I did end up finding a spot where there was some rust, so I did have to put a small little patch in there, but I used pieces that I cut off of that floor pan and used them over here. And you can see I've just got a small section there. And again, seam sealed both sides. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it and glad we can move forward with the project. So we'll get you set up on a tripod. We'll close this video out. Hopefully it's not too much of a cluster, and next one will be a little bit less choppy, hopefully. All right, so that is, in a nutshell, the floor pan replacement on the G-body Cutlass. Obviously, since I am still recording right now, I haven't edited, so I don't know how long this video is actually turning out to be. But just know that it feels like it has taken forever just for that driver's side floor pan. And there's a few reasons for that that you may not have if you take on the project yourself. Main reason for me was I kind of jumped the gun. Ordered the floor pan for just the front driver's side floorboard because I just had the car up on the lift, looked from underneath, looked like the back was fine. Wasn't until I finally got to the point of pulling out the interior and fully inspecting it from both sides that I realized, crap, the back is junk too. So then I had to order the rear floor pan, and at that time when I ordered it, it wasn't available or wasn't in stock, which it was in stock when I ordered the front one, so it's kind of irritating, but it is what it is. If you're going to take on the project yourself, don't order your stuff until you fully inspect what you have going. And like I said, I would recommend doing the whole floor pan. I think it would be easier, just as time consuming, but easier as far as fitment and everything is concerned. But you know, to each their own. You do you, and whatever you choose to do is your deal to live with. So anyway, I hope the video was helpful. I hope I pointed some stuff out. If I did something obviously wrong and you're looking at it, go ahead and throw it in the comments. I'm, you know, first time doing it. It's honestly, this is really my first time welding with gas. I just actually got that welder that I've been using, kind of specifically, or because of this vehicle. My last welder that I had was just a wire feed welder, didn't have a gas option, so I had actually never welded with gas. If you've never welded with gas, you gotta get gas. It is so much nicer. I didn't realize how much gas you actually use when you're welding, but it's significant, and the cost of the tank and the gas and all that stuff, it adds up real fast, but it's worth it. Once you have the tank, the gas itself isn't that much. But so first time ever welding with gas, first time I've ever welded sheet metal. It's not that bad to weld it. My welder has a lot of different settings on it, so you can actually enter in the gauge of the metal, and then it'll bring up pre-programmed parameters and all that stuff. But you can then adjust those, you know, because like I had it set up originally and it's like, okay, yeah, it's working all right, but I had to increase the wire speed and everything, but whatever. You could do it with a regular wire feed welder with no gas. Don't let that stop you from taking on your project yourself. All I can recommend is make sure that you look and see and get everything ordered beforehand, and realize that it is time consuming. Even without waiting for parts, it takes time. And that being said, part of the other slowdown with me getting it done was my ambition level, because it's just, you get into it and you get rolling with it and you want to keep going with it, because it's really not that hard and you do see progress. But then, you know, when you work a normal 40-hour plus week job, then, you know, then you find yourself out in the garage at midnight, 1 o'clock, and you got to get up and be to work the next morning. So expect, you know, slowdowns and whatever. But anyway, hope this video turns out all right. First off, thank you for watching. If you aren't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, drop comments down below, all that good crap. Hopefully the next video we're going to start moving along with some stuff so we can get the engine and transmission back in here. I think the next video I'm going to start working, in fact today I hope to start working on redoing all the brake lines in this. I did not buy a pre-bent kit for the brakes because I know that the rear brake line that's bad. If you buy the pre-bent one, you basically have to lift the body off the frame, and I don't really feel like doing that. So I am going to be hand building and hand bending brake lines for it. The car, if you've seen in the other videos, has a line lock for the front brakes that I'm pretty sure was not plumbed correctly to begin with. So we're going to, we don't need the line lock, but I've got it. I'm gonna go ahead and hook it back up because, you know, smoky burnouts are fun and it's a lot easier with a line lock, I guess. So we're gonna replumb that in, and I'm gonna do that before the engine is in because just where the lines run behind the cross member here and everything, easier to do without the engine and trans in it. It's also easier to do all of it with the front end off of it. Gonna replace the master cylinder on it because that's leaking. That's part of why the floorboard was rusted out, because it's leaking in. But that's for the next video. Also gonna, maybe not the next video, but probably the one after that, we're gonna redo the, rebuild the steering box in it that's leaking. And then we should, in theory, be able to get the motor and trans slapped back in it, get the front clip on it, and take her back out and run it. It is currently, I believe it's April 1st right now, so it's the season to start driving these things, and I'm not ready. Thankfully, I have another Cutlass that is ready, but I was hoping to have this one done by now, or back roadworthy again, but oh well. So again, like and subscribe and stay tuned. We'll see what happens on the next one. Thanks for watching.